And so, of course, I had to ask one of the scoopers one day. I was like, okay, so chicken dinner, like, is it winner, winner chicken dinner, or what's this all about? Like,
Welcome back to the Rogue Academic Podcast. Today we are talking to my dear friend, Dr. Travis Reed, a veterinary surgeon who has recently made the pivot from in person to mobile surgery. We talk about the importance of pivoting and staying flexible. Here we are. Yay! I can't believe we finally managed to line this up. It's only been how many years?
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Like, it's crazy. But at least we can meet virtually if we can't, get in person. But,
Right? Oh my gosh.
oh,
So for everybody out there listening, this is my very best friend in the whole wide world, the man that I have known since actual kindergarten, Dr. Travis Reed. Thank you so much for joining us.
thank you, Dr. Lexi.
Ah!
It's great
He
to
got
be
to call
here.
himself doctor first though, because he was smart and he went to the real doctoral school that deals with medicine and important things that people actually pay money for. I went to bullshit doctoral school where I make people's hearts happy and don't get paid a lot of money for that. But it was always sort of a race to see who was going to get to the doctorate first, sort of in high school. And if it wasn't for him, I would never have passed high school biology. So thank you so much for coming on the show, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. It's great to see you. Like, it's
Dude,
been
same.
way too long,
It
but
really, really has. Oh my gosh. I feel almost as though we're talking to avatars of each other. Like I'm
right.
seeing this person, but I'm hearing the person that I know from the past. You know what I mean?
Of course, right? Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
so weird. Um, but anyway, so Travis, you are my first non-musician sort of guest, although that's kind of a misnomer. You are a musician. You do play instruments.
Mm,
It's that you don't do it for a living, and that's fine. Um,
true. Yes.
but being that that's the case, would you share a little bit about your journey from okay, I have taken classes in high school biology and chemistry and whatnot, and going, I really just I want to be a vet. I think that's my calling. Like, how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah. I think probably the interest in veterinary medicine came well before high school, right? Like, I
Eh,
guess so many others, how many kids want to be veterinarians, right? And then I guess how do you stay on that path and actually get there?
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think just liking animals when I was young and growing up. And I was always amazed too by the body's ability to heal. And another part of that might be, I mean, as you know, my dad is a mechanic.
Hmm.
And so some of the ability of fixing machines, but then also how bodies and biologic systems can heal themselves, from plants to animals to people. So I just think the interest in medicine, along with obviously liking and enjoying animals. Um, as you know, my mom died of leukemia when I was young, and I think some of that hospital experience and medicine was at a pivotal time of development, of an interest in how can I do better, right? How can I
Hmm.
try to advance medicine, and try to help so that other kids' parents don't die of cancer,
Yeah.
right? Or other people in general. Obviously, I didn't go down the human medicine side,
You didn't want to
nor
be a
really
human
down
meat
the
mechanic?
oncology side. No, no, no. Mostly, I think people are gross. Like, I'll be honest.
People are gross.
I just don't want to deal with that. Like, I'd much rather do some nursing care on animals. But,
Fair enough. Fair enough. So,
but honestly,
go
and
ahead.
then kind of too, as you talked about, like in high school and whatnot. Um, I really think a lot of it, I got swept up by the momentum of everyone around me always saying, Travis is going to be a veterinarian, Travis is going to be a veterinarian.
Hmm.
And it was kind of like, oh, that was the destiny that was spoken to me, that this is where I need to go and what I need to do.
Wow.
So that was kind of an interesting, like, sometimes I feel like the momentum was all behind me and it's what I had to do. That's what I don't know, was intended for.
That's wild. I
Um,
never really thought about it that way because I was there for that. And
oh,
you're
yeah.
absolutely right. Like from the outside looking in, it was just really obvious that you were going to be some type of veterinary doctor. We didn't know what
Hmm.
kind, large
Sure.
animals, small
Yeah.
animals, zoo animals, but we knew that was going to
Right.
happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it just, yeah, kind of went along. But I did work, with our family vet, in high school. I was a kennel boy. So I got some clinical experience on the small animal side. It was a mixed animal practice. They came out to the farm and took care of we had a small beef cattle and horse farm. So I kind of got the large animal exposure there,
Hmm.
but got the clinical side with the small animal clinic, and enjoyed it. So, I did kind of ride the wave and keep with it. But It is kind of interesting to reflect back on that, like, sometimes I felt like the momentum was just carrying me with it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty relatable. I mean, as you know, like when I started my schooling, I had intended to be a band director, nothing but. Like I really just wanted to be a band director. And, frankly,
yeah.
I kind of just still want to be a band director. Like after
Mm,
all of the BS, I would be happy enough to be a band director. But what happened on my trajectory was I didn't think I was good enough to be a full-time performer. And so I went the route of education because it was the safe thing. And
sure.
so along the way, I had different, influences from teachers and peers and stuff going, you really should perform for a living. Like you really, really should like do that.
Yeah.
What was your schooling like? How long did that take? And did you find that, maybe you were pushed one direction or another by teachers more than students or peers more than teachers?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So, obviously getting through high school, and then the plan of getting into veterinary school.
Mhm.
And at least at that time, and when I went through at Michigan State, you needed at least 2 years of undergrad study, to get the certain requirements and prerequisites that you needed for vet school. You
Mhm.
didn't necessarily need a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Although I did end up getting a bachelor's doing vet school. Vet school itself, of course, is 4 years. Um, and I did go on to specialize in small animal surgery, so cats and dogs, but surgery only is all that I do anymore. I don't
Mhm.
do seizures, I don't do diabetes, I don't do other things, just surgery.
Hmm.
And interesting, like when the plan for vet school was to be a mixed animal vet, to go back home
Mhm.
and to join the practice there, and basically, back to northern Michigan, as we all aspire to go,
Isn't that
to
interesting?
return
Like we
home.
spent so much time and money getting the fuck out, and now we're like, you know what? That
Yes.
sounds really nice. I just want to go there and not be on social media ever.
Right. I mean, maybe in some regards, not all of it, but some of it. Like,
That
yeah,
is absolutely fair. And we'll talk
it's
about
nice
that.
to
But
visit.
yes.
Yeah, that might be a whole nother show, but like, yeah. But that was the plan. I was going to be a mixed animal vet. I was going to go back home. Um, Honestly, part of it, I think, during undergrad when I came out, that I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to the sticks, which I think is still something that would hold me back from full-time residency up there.
Hmm.
Um, but then also interestingly, it was in my soft tissue surgery rotation. We had 3 week long blocks in our clinical rotations the last year and a half of vet school. And halfway through that, so a week and a half in, we would meet with like either the residents or the faculty and kind of have like a midpoint discussion on how you're doing, and turn it around so we can give you a better grade by the end of your clinical rotation.
Yeah.
But they encouraged me to go seek further training,
Hmm.
to go on for an internship, maybe consider residency. And my interest would have been in either surgery or emergency medicine.
Mm.
Again, surgery, I think, kind of, again, like my dad being a mechanic, getting in there and helping and fixing the body, and assisting it in its ability to heal and the miracles, of what the body can do. Um, so there was kind of, again, coming out in undergrad, but then also some encouragement from, the soft tissue faculty, soft tissue surgery faculty, about, considering going further. And so I did. And so the path for specialty, is typically a 1 year rotating internship. And then to get into the residency program, which is typically 3 years, depending on what the specialty is and depending on what the program is. Some programs have a built-in master's degree with it, so it becomes a 4 year program, for example. But so I got through a veterinary school. I applied to the match. So similar to human medicine, there's this matching program that you apply
Not
to for
Match.com. Like we're not finding our
No,
significant
no,
others in med school. I mean, you
no,
might,
nope. It's
but
trying to find your professional development. Yeah. No, honestly, it kind of is like a glorified dating website. I really
oh,
think,
that's
because
horrifying.
so the idea, what's that?
I said, "Oh, that's truly horrifying." Like music, like the music industry is bad enough, like let alone having to go through that type of process. That would break musicians. Like it
Oh
really,
no,
really would. Like we're mentally
really?
unstable anyway.
Oh
But
sure.
then being told by like this third party entity that, well, you didn't match with the teacher that you've aspired to study with for the last 10 years, that would break musicians completely.
But I'm sure somebody still gets that message. Like maybe it comes from somebody, but and
Oh,
not
it
from a
happens in
computer
different,
entity.
more
But
insidious ways, more personal
of course.
ways, even like
Mm,
like directly from that teacher going, you know what, you're not a fit for my studio. Like yeah, exactly. Like blood pucker time. Oh no, right?
yeah.
So I guess in
Oh
some
no.
ways a third party might actually be easier, but it would still break musicians, I think.
Sure. Okay. Okay. I mean, it breaks us down too. It is
Oh, I bet.
can be a harrowing experience. I mean, the idea is that it's trying to like level the playing field with the idea that it's all online applications. Most places don't do any interviews or anything. So you're
Mhm.
really just looking at applications, and basically all of the institutions list the programs that they provide. And then all the applicants look at what they're interested in and apply to it. And you rank order each other. And then, like a glorified dating app, it basically matches everybody up
Oh my
the
gosh.
best that it can. It's some weird entity. I don't know what happens out there.
Uh-huh. Oh my
But
gosh. Wow. So,
yep.
okay, so did you do all of your schooling at MSU or did you go other places too?
Yeah. So no. So my undergrad was at Michigan State, and then I stayed there for veterinary school.
Okay.
And then I matched my rotating internship, which is like emergency surgery, internal medicine, oncology, neurology, kind of rotating through all the different services. That was in the Ontario Veterinary College, a bit north of Toronto. So that was the year that I spent
Heck
out
yeah.
in Canada. Was out for there. And then I applied again to the match for a residency, and then also surgery specialty internships as a backup. Um, they match the residents first, and if you're left over, they keep you in the intern pool.
Huh.
And with that, I went to Rochester, New York, for a surgical internship at a referral hospital there. Because the problem with surgery is it's very competitive, so you don't usually follow that ideal path line,
Uh-huh.
and you need to continue doing specialty internships or research fellowships or something to build your resume,
Gotcha.
in order to get into the residency.
Makes sense.
So I was up in Rochester, New York for a year, and then I applied to the match only for residencies. I was like, do or die, this is all it's going to be. And I did not match.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, I did not get a residency. So then I was in the scramble, because you can see what programs are open that
This is
didn't
delightful
fully
farm
match
lingo,
all the
by the way. It's the match
applicants.
and scramble.
Yeah,
Yeehaw,
right,
everybody.
exactly.
You're a professional with professional schools. We're going to do the match and
Uh-huh.
scramble. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Anyway,
Love
sorry.
it. Nice, nice. But anyway, so I was in that. I was down to like plan F of doing emergency work out in the Pacific Northwest, because I figured I could still do some surgery that way,
Yeah.
as an emergency vet and go see a different part of the country.
Might work on
Um,
Bigfoot.
yeah, maybe.
But
Yeah.
you never know.
Who knows? Yeah.
I'm wearing my Bigfoot
But
sweater. That's why the joke is funny. For anyone listening
I
and
saw,
can't,
yeah,
obviously not seeing the picture here, I'm wearing a Bigfoot sweater. Yeah.
yes, you got to set the stage. Yes, yes.
Anyway.
But I ultimately did find a program that was outside of the match, that they did like a 1 year surgical internship that would roll into the 3 year residency if all went well. So, kind of as an initial working interview. So, that was down at a private practice in Annapolis and Baltimore and
Mm.
Maryland. So, that was the 4 years that I spent down there. Um, and then, so I finally finished residency and everything, in 2015.
Hmm.
So, I got my first real job when I was 32. Um,
That's
the
relatable.
surgery yeah, yeah. The surgery specialty boards, are offered in February, so I took that in 2016, and passed it. Thankfully, the first time I took it, so that all was behind me. So,
Yay!
fully fledged, diplomate, board certified in 2016. So at the age of 33, finally done with all the schooling and everything. So
That's dude, that's hella relatable, and that's actually a lot more parallel to my trajectory than I had thought. Believe it or not, I've had a small complex about you beating me in school for the last 15 years. And
what?
oh, it's not a real complex. He's just my best friend, who also had like highfalutin academic, goals. And I was just like, damn it,
I mean, it is
Travis is like
pretty
out there being
impressive.
like a real person, and I'm still in school. Fuck me.
And but you were doing like real things, and I was like
I
stuck
was.
in school.
I mean, it's all a perception thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course,
Like in
right?
my head, I was like, oh man, he's like this big deal professional in like performing surgeries and like having a skill set that actually matters. And I'm playing wedding gigs in Indiana. Woo, you know. Um,
Oh, but that's important. That's significant things. Like those are amazing days for those people's lives, right?
they
And you were
really
there to
are.
be part of
They
it.
really are. So, going back to now, you also have an additional master's degree in public health, right?
Yes, that is true. So, Michigan State had an agreement with the University of Minnesota, because the University of Minnesota has both a veterinary school and a public health school.
Hmm.
And they already had it set up that some of their credits from vet school could count over towards the public health degree.
Hmm.
Because a lot of what we do, I mean, traditionally, like back in the day, veterinary medicine was about herd health and food safety.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of stuff in our practice on the large animal side that's really about epidemiology and disease control. And I'm trying
So,
to think, I think in the armed forces, if you were to go in, I think the army, we do a lot with the dogs and the horses.
mhm.
But in the Air Force, they have veterinarians that are in public health. So that is still kind of part of what we do. And obviously, there's veterinarians in food safety, slaughterhouses and whatnot,
Oh yeah,
obviously
absolutely.
on the animal side of things. So anyway, they at the University of Minnesota had so that some of your vet school credits could count towards a public health degree. And so we were able to basically, our courses that mirrored those
Hmm.
could just count over. And then we went in the summers for a couple of years. They had public health camp. So we would do some intensive classes for like 3 weeks to get like 12 credits or whatever of classes while we were out there to count that. So yeah, I didn't really know where it would go, but I
I'm sure
just
the
thought it seemed
pandemic was
kind of
fun for you.
interesting. Well, I considered, and I kind of thought about, do I leave the veterinary side and get into some of the human side and use
Hmm.
this MPH and do, something different, something else? The
Wow.
burnout that was kind of brewing in
Yeah.
my life and the veterinary profession in general. Because we've had some hard times, like so many others, professions and fields. The pandemic really squeezed us and really pointed out the shortcomings that we had and
Hmm.
the issues within the profession, that it was a tough time that we're still trying to recover from. But
Wow. It's
yeah,
okay. I definitely want to circle back to that for sure.
yeah,
Because that's not a thing that I would have even really considered. Like, and it's probably just me being completely myopic, and being that I'm a gigging musician, and the pandemic absolutely shot me in the foot for any sort of public performance. So I'm not going to
yeah,
be making money that way. Thank God I had the
yeah,
teaching gig at the time, because otherwise I definitely would have
sure,
starved. Um,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah, that's wild. Oh my gosh. So like all told, how many years was it from, like, okay, I am in college to I am now a doctor practicing out in the world.
So I guess depends on how you look at it. Like, so I graduated high school in 2001 and started undergrad that year.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from veterinary school 8 years later at 2009
Mm.
and was a licensed veterinarian, able to do surgery and procedures, diagnose, prescribe, and do surgery, the three things that a veterinarian can do legally that others can't. And so I was doing that, in Ontario that
Mm-hmm.
fall. So it was 8 years to become a licensed veterinarian, and then an additional 1, 2, 3 plus 3 is 6 years
Yeah.
until 2015 to be a practice limited to surgery residency trained veterinarian, and then the following year that I got my board certification status.
Well, I don't feel so bad about my 12 years in school for my doctorate now.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Like, I mean, kind of same
But was
trajectory.
that continuous for you? Because I know, like, you
Fairly.
went, you taught, you came back, you did some, like.
Yeah, the only real gap in my educational sort of trajectory was the near 4 years that I taught public school.
Yep. Okay.
And that's what actually got me back into school in the first place, was getting a graduate assistantship that I didn't even know that those things existed for musicians. Getting a graduate assistantship at the University of Missouri, and then completing 2 master's degrees there, and then going directly onto my doctorate, all the while
Wow,
performing, all the while teaching. Like, we
man.
struggle bus
It's
it. And I think
Yeah.
everybody does, like what
Sure.
the part that people don't talk about, and this is something I really want to touch on, especially knowing your backstory and knowing, where you come from and where you are now. Um, all of this shit sounds super glamorous to like a
Mhm.
15-year-old version of us, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you went through all that school and ooh, like you did really good. And then they like gave you opportunities to do more good stuff. Ooh, yeah. What is it like to come out and be your truest self amongst all of the pressure of a medical degree? Like,
Mm.
I found myself to be an absolute sleut in my 20s. I had a hoe phase. Um that lasted all the way through both master's degrees for me, and that was
Mm,
troublesome, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And that is like stereotypical child's play level of personal development. I cannot imagine what it must have been like to realize that your truest self is not what society has told you it has been for however long.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that, I guess, because really I came out like at the end of high school,
Mhm.
and then was out in undergrad. And I think a lot of that was probably in undergrad before I really got into veterinary school,
Mm.
to kind of know who I was, and exploring some of that. For better or for worse, like my first boyfriend in undergrad was a pretty decent activist, on campus,
Nice.
and actually went into politics within Michigan. So
Really?
he was quite involved, yeah, in a fair bit of
I
things.
didn't know that.
And
That's cool.
I think that was really a good way, I think, to rip the band-aid off and kind of know the community, understand what's going on, be out there and around and
Yeah.
see a lot. So I think a lot of that was really more in undergrad, thankfully. And I think it was convenient probably that I stayed at the same place at Michigan State.
Mm.
Obviously, a lot of my friends from undergrad graduated and moved on. Different friends that I had at vet school, but I had other friends in the community to kind of have some support base, not only to balance, all the trials and tribulations of veterinary school, and then to know somebody outside of vet school to get a little breather of fresh air, and kind of a recheck on life,
Yeah.
with things there. But thankfully, I don't think I wasn't really dealing with both of those all at the same time. I mean, obviously, there's still life and dating and whatnot, that you're trying to do through professional school and residency and
Sure.
and like everything else. But at least I wasn't struggling with coming out, at that time. But
Yeah, and I think something that's worthwhile to note, like regarding like all of those situational variables, is that you were in a major metropolitan area in Michigan, and
mhm.
like I can't speak to, how cool Michigan is with, the Rainbow Mafia as it were, but at the time, it did not seem like the majority of Michigan was okay with this. And I think
Yeah,
in
no.
so many ways like you were so fortunate to be in a place where you could be accepted and loved for who you were. And then like did that make going home extra weird cuz like where we're from, not very Rainbow Mafia friendly.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I think there's definitely something about the college town experience,
Yeah.
for most campuses, right? So there is kind of a safety bubble there. Yeah, I mean, home was challenging. Like the coming out stories are probably a whole nother show, but I mean, I guess I did always have support from the family, even if it was sometimes feeling only at face value. But overall, I always felt accepted once I did come out. It was kind of awkward around the rest of the community of kind of like, okay, what's everybody else going to be talking about? If
Right.
I come home, if I bring a boyfriend home, is there something, and
Mhm.
where's all that going to go? Um, but as far as I can tell, it all seemed okay, and I think better than what I expected.
Hmm.
I think like so many, you think that it's going to be the end of the world and you're going to be kicked out and disowned, when you come out to the family. But thankfully, I was very lucky that that was not, definitely not the situation for me. So
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
and that's been one of the most interesting parts about starting this podcast, and something that I'm really passionate about is giving a voice to folks that would otherwise have been marginalized. One of my earlier guests is a trans woman, and
Mm,
she's an incredible musician. She's a trans jazz pianist. In other words, a jazz pianist. But anyway,
mhm.
she shared her story about coming out in the midst of grad school, and she did not truly feel safe to like be her full self until she got to doctoral school. So I didn't know if there was,
Wow.
part of the journey for you where you were, exploring what it is to be a gay man in the, current day and age, in Michigan of all places. Like if that was hard for
Mm.
you, or if that was like, okay, no, I have a support system and we're okay. I'd always wondered
Yeah.
about that.
No. Yeah. No. I think yeah. And the college campus environment, was a safe place, I think, for sure. So I think I had a lot of support. My friends, around campus, my roommates, and everything. That, yeah, I think, I was in a supportive place. I was very lucky, for that too.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So another thing that we touch on within the context of our little show here is sort of dealing with work-life balance, and musicians, and I don't think it's just musicians, I think it's everybody, especially now, because the dollar has been devalued to a point where it's like
Mm.
impossible to survive even on just like a decent wage. You know, what is that? Who gets those? No one. Um,
Yeah.
but musicians, especially because we are gig workers, we often find ourselves in the way of side hustles. And I think there's a preconceived notion among non-musicians, or sorry, non-medical people, that anyone who goes into the field of medicine must now be wealthy, and it's a breeze,
Mm.
and money just falls out of the sky, and your life is wonderful. Did you find that to be the case as a veterinary surgeon or a vet in the general, or like, what does that trajectory look like financially from your perspective?
Yeah, I maybe on the human medicine side, that I can't really speak to.
I thought about that, but I don't know. It's not my area.
Yeah, right. And I don't know, how much is always the grass is always greener, right? But
Mm,
um I guess there's got to be some amount of assuming that somebody's going to professional school, that they're going into professional trade, that they're going to come out well on the other side, But then
unless you're a
also
musician.
with that, well, yeah, I guess. Well, okay, like the other professional
It's fine.
schools,
It's
I
fine.
guess. But but I mean, like lawyers too. Like, how many people go through
Yeah.
law school that don't become the big name, and they're
Right.
just doing all the grunt work and whatever, and just having a miserable life, even though they have this law degree that was supposed to be, their ticket to wealth, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, and I mean, the other side of the story too is that sure, I can be more marketable to have a better paycheck getting through vet school, but I also have a fair number of student loans that I'm still working on paying off,
Mm.
from that. And then also too, during my internship, during my residency, like I had not very much of a salary there. My internship salary was 18,000 Canadian.
Wow.
And then coming back the internships residency, I got up towards the mid 30s during residency, and still had to pay, room and board and groceries, and all those student loans were just on standby, on subsidized loans,
Yep.
collecting interest
Yep.
during all that time, and credit cards getting racked up,
Mhm.
until I finally got my surgeon job and can start to pay some things off. I remember actually back in our career day in middle school,
Hmm.
one of the veterinarians came out to talk about being a veterinarian, and she said that you don't go into veterinary medicine for the money, you go into it for the compassion. And I think that's really true. I think anybody in the veterinary field has a lot of compassion for the patients that we're treating.
Mhm.
It's not doggy daycare. We're not just playing with puppies all day long. My aunt is a cardiac nurse, and to on the human side, and to steal a phrase from her, it's a matter of battling the angel of death every day,
Oh, I
and
can't
especially
imagine. I
in
had the
like.
hardest time with my first like adult life dog passed. I cannot
Hmm.
imagine doing that daily. Like my
Yeah.
brain couldn't handle that.
Yeah, I mean, the euthanasia is the one side of it for sure, and then also in the 24-hour, emergency referral hospital, that like we are fighting against disease and trauma and all kinds of bad shit. That it's a struggle. Like there's a toll emotionally and mentally, that goes through everything for that, and then. I mean, being a surgeon too, that you're on call for
Mhm.
emergencies. So weeknights, weekends, who knows what your day is going to be? Who knows when you're going to get home? So, there's another trade-off side to that, getting a paycheck, which I don't think we get paid anywhere near what human medicine does, but
Mhm.
also we're, not charging as much. We don't have insurance covering as much, and there's all that other stuff going on too.
Oh,
But
totally.
yeah, so there's like, sure, I have some pretty good chance of employment. Like I could, probably find a job just about anywhere
Mhm.
that's looking right.
Sure.
Maybe not back home, but not a couple hours from home could
Right.
probably find a place.
Yeah.
So there's some more guaranteed of income there, but there's also, like I say, I'm still working on my student loans. I have a home mortgage now. I have a car loan. Like there's all this other crap.
Mhm.
And then two, if you're thinking in the big picture and trying to save for retirement,
Wait,
I'm
what's
at
that?
least 10 years
People can
behind.
do
I
that?
know, right?
Wait,
Right? If you're
hang
trying to
on.
be smart, my financial advisor
What?
says.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I figured I'd just play trumpet until I died.
Good for you. I want to stop this someday.
No,
I want to
I
get
would
out of
love
here. But
to
like,
slow down a little bit. The hustle gets old really fast.
sure does. Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
that was something I was going to ask you about because you recently made a change from traditional like brick and mortar veterinary medicine to a mobile veterinary medicine setup. What got
Mhm.
you to that point? Like, was it a work life balance thing? Was it like I want to sign my own paychecks kind of thing? Like, what got you there? It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, thanks. So the name is a bit misleading, but it's the model is called mobile surgery. There are definitely like mobile vets who have a van that will go set up in the parking lot and do like vaccines and wellness check, maybe some blood work, kind of stuff that they just do on the side of the road.
Mhm.
But I do specialty level surgery, usually orthopedics. I'm not a mash unit. I need a little bit more of a controlled environment.
Although that would be a really
So
great like Halloween costume for your like
yeah.
mobile unit slash practice. Just to be like, yep, this is animal mash, you know.
Yeah, right. Yep.
I'm not sure how your dad would feel about that, but
I'm sure he'd probably help create the costume. He could
he
probably have some ideas
would.
for it. Like,
For those of you
yes.
who obviously have no context here, Travis's dad has the magical ability to manifest anything in at a costume level at a moment's notice. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you need like an what was it? We did the no strings attached setup for NSYNC, and he
Yeah.
hung us from a light betton. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
do it with
Right.
elastic straps. It'll be fine.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, we could just do this. Yeah, it's a very creative. Like, yeah, it's amazing.
yeah,
Amazing mind.
dude, totally. He
But
really should have gone into theater, but anyway.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, so I have like my bone plates and screws, drills and saws, sutures, gowns, gloves, all my stuff that I bring with me. I have two technicians, two veterinary technicians that come with me as well. And then we go to the primary care veterinarian to do surgery there.
Mm,
So we use their OR, we use their anesthesia drugs, we use their x ray machine. So I'm not setting up just on the side of the road, but we are going out to different primary care clinics to do surgery there. As opposed to, like you say, the more traditional brick and mortar, we're a specialty hospital. We might be attached to a 24-hour emergency hospital. People come in to us. We do the surgeries there. The dogs stay the night or not, and then go home, what have you. So yeah, I was in that traditional setup. Through vet school, through postdoc training, the 9 years that I was here in Milwaukee initially
nice.
was all in that setup. And yeah, kind of a number of different things kind of going on with everything there. Just kind of changes in the hospital setting overall, kind of my own desire, like you say, to kind of break away into something a little bit different.
Hmm.
The work-life balance aspect.
Mhm.
Trying to set my own schedule, not being on call, having weekends to myself, having evenings that I can make plans to do something, like just having
It's a
time that's
luxury,
my
isn't
own. It is. I mean, it really is. And it's unfortunate that it's not, that we're in a system where like that's not expected to be the way
Ugh,
it is for people, right? Like you're
that's
just a
so
cog
real.
in the wheel of this machine.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, and
yeah.
like to add to that entire diatribe, it's just like I work in an industry that is based in entertainment. And when do people want entertainment? On the weekends. So guess who works every single fucking weekend? This girl.
Hmm.
So like,
Yeah.
Eric and I
Yeah.
end up having like date night on Wednesday, like we go do
Yeah.
stuff during the week because like what else are you gonna do? It's the
Hmm.
world in which we live.
Yeah. No, it's true. Well, and even like in Milwaukee here, it's the service industry usually has Monday off.
Mm,
And when I joined, I had Mondays off because I worked on Fridays. We usually have a 4-day work week typically, but they're 10 hours that are quickly 12 to 14 hours. But I found out that a lot of barbershops were closed. I couldn't even get my hair cut, and I did not have a shaved head until the pandemic.
oh, well, that's fair.
So the first 5 years, like I did need to go to the barber.
I don't know. The
Um,
goatee's looking majestic. I genuinely thought it was
oh,
like,
well,
oh, of
thank you.
course he sees a barber for his majestic goatee.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that
that I
makes
just do on my
perfect
own.
sense.
But yeah, oh
Nice.
yeah.
Oh my
But no, it's
gosh.
just kind of crazy that a lot of restaurants are closed on Mondays, and which I think is good that the service industry gets a chance to get a break, right?
Yeah,
But no, it's true, and I understand how like the gig work has got to be weekend heavy, and
it
you've got
is.
to take your time other times, other places, right? But
Yeah.
um, anyway, where was I with things on all of that? But
Well,
so
we were
yeah,
just
trying to
sort
get
of
like some
talking
work
about
life
the
balance.
work life balance. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So, and just kind of, yeah, burning out the squeeze after the pandemic and everything that, kind of went on with everything there. I
Okay, so I
did
have to
have,
ask then, like, I and this is 100% my ignorance. What was this squeeze that you're describing during the pandemic regarding veterinary medicine? I mean, obviously it's that we can't bring our pets in person because otherwise we will get sick. Was that it? Or like is there more to it than that?
No, there's more to it than that, and, I guess not as much like you say, you and entertainment and no live entertainment, nothing to do there.
Yeah,
Not quite as bad as restaurants, that are closed down because nobody's
totally.
coming in, or maybe they're doing all takeout orders and whatnot, but, um yeah, and I don't have, like, all the data and everything in front of me or in mind, but practically what happened was that, yeah, people were kept on this outside in the parking lot. We kept the patients inside. Um, Depending on what happened in the clinic, some places, some vet schools had like an A team and a B team. So
Okay.
some people worked, like A worked week one, and then B worked the next week. That way, if there was any illness, at least only half of people, because if anyone, it got to the point, if anyone tested positive, everyone around them had to either be out or tested, or, and people are dropping like flies, and you're
Yeah.
really limited on your staff.
Hmm.
Um, and ultimately, you're less efficient in how many patients you can see. And then whether or not it's true that a lot of people adopted pets, I've heard conflicting things on whether or not that's true.
Hmm.
But there's potentially a spike increase in your number of cases trying to get in,
Mm.
and you can't see them all.
Mm.
And for the longest time, and still today, we do not pay our support staff appropriately.
Mm.
And so our technicians, our assistants, can start getting paid a lot more for working at McDonald's,
Wow.
or Starbucks or what have you. And
Are
so
you
people just
serious?
left.
Okay. All right. We joke about this heartily in the music industry because it's not a secret that
Yeah,
no one goes into being a professional musician for the glitz glam and money. Like, we don't do it. We do it because we serve the music and we serve our audiences, and like we love to do this, right? But
sure.
I, in my little pea brain, have a hard time believing that a person as a vet tech with specialized knowledge, like I'm thinking of this as like, a veterinary RN, if you will,
Mm.
that person would be paid less than someone who works at McDonald's. Like musicians, pff, of course, obviously. But that really?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, and again, I mean, our cost for services, are not as high as what the human
True.
side is. You need to be competitive, and yeah, it's definitely not a uh, high wage profession, unfortunately.
Huh.
We are getting better. We have gotten better since then, but especially as some of those, like fast food and whatever, were having hiring bonuses and paying like crazy high just to
Yeah.
keep people staffed, right?
Right.
For whatever assorted reasons. And so I think all those things just kind of all came together, and as a bit of a reckoning to us as a profession, that like we're not taking care of our team the way that we really should.
Hmm.
Or just some issues of trying to get through the flow of the day and the patient load that's out there and all
Hmm.
of this and whatnot. And we were essential workers, so we had to, keep going to work, as opposed to those who couldn't or could get a break. And then, how do you manage your stress relief when you can't go to the gym, you can't do, whatever it is
Oh
that
my
people
God.
do,
Yeah.
like so many aspects of our life was just on hold for a while.
Yeah.
And how are people coping with that? Or those with kids that couldn't go anywhere and had
Oh
to
my
be at
God.
home to take care of them, right? Like
Right.
there's all those other factors that came into it. So now you have your workforce leaving, um, and you're still trying to keep up with demand,
Uh-huh.
of services, and
Huh.
you're less efficient in how you can do those services, and just so kind of all of that stuff. And yeah.
So is that part of what sort of pushed you toward, sort of being your own boss, setting your own schedule, doing the mobile vet surgeon thing?
Yeah, so that was a big part of it. I did have a vet that came and worked with us, a surgeon, for about a year and a half. Lo and behold, she was riding out her non-compete so that she could do mobile practice.
Oopsies.
Yeah, didn't know that starting out, but found out. But I mean, she was great. She was amazing. She's been a great resource of getting this started. There's a group of mobile surgeons helping mobile veterinary surgeons, on Facebook, and such, that has been really helpful as a resource in kind of how to get up and going and
Hmm.
and get this established. And so that's been just really amazing, really helpful. And I figured, try something different. Let's see.
Yeah.
Can we get some of that work-life balance? Can I reclaim some of my time, do some of the things I want to do? So yeah, that was kind of it. I left. My first day of freedom was August 12th of 2024. Um,
Congrats.
Thank you. My first surgery on mobile was October 2nd. So it took a couple months to kind of get things going and established. And so it's been a little over a year now. And I mean, I think it's going pretty well. I actually just had a financial meeting with my accountant and financial advisor before this.
Mhm.
And they said I'm looking pretty good. So hopefully
Yay!
we're doing
Well,
all right. But
and that's what I hope our listeners can take away from this podcast, in every single episode, regardless of who I'm interviewing, is there are a lot more ways to the end zone of I have my time with, the people that I love, and I have enough money to enjoy it with them. I can live a good life, and I don't have to be a slave to a system that is fundamentally broken. I
yeah,
mean, I started
yeah.
this whole thing under the pretense that, the academic system is fundamentally broken. And I think in a lot of different fields, not just music, it very much is. If you're wanting to go into education or something like that. Um, but what I also want people to be able to come away from this podcast with are solutions. Like, how am I going to meet those goals? Like, yes, there are these problems, but there are plenty of solutions around them. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, Travis needs to be on the show and tell us all about his
Sure.
mobile surgeon thing, because that is
Thanks. Yeah.
an incredible solution to a very universal problem. We all want our time back. We all want to spend more time with the people we love, doing the stuff we like to do.
Yeah. Nope. Absolutely. Very true.
So were there any like unexpected hiccups or unexpected wins, like aha moments, or like, oh crap, I didn't think about that, sort of things
Y-
along the way?
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, I'm sure there were many surprises and probably more than what comes to mind completely. But obviously, as the surgeon, I'm primarily running stuff in the exam room, like doing surgery. And then there's a lot of support staff around me that is turning over instruments, doing the sterilization, ordering inventory, all those things.
Hmm.
I try not to be super needy about things, but it's like, I need this, I want this. Can we look into that?
Hmm.
When somebody is kind of doing some of that research on figuring some things out.
Hmm.
So now I had to do all of that.
Ah.
And
Being a business owner is a bitch, isn't
yeah, there's
it?
a whole different level to it, and other things to learn and do. And supply chain back orders and whatnot, they are real. They weren't just excuses that we were being given, but like that's fun. And then kind of who makes what, where to order things. Like I don't know necessarily, didn't know who like necessarily sutures came from, different gown companies, like what bone plate group am I going to use? And some of that was like, okay, I can try different things and I can find what I like and use what I like what I have,
Hmm.
so that definitely one of the wins that was really cool
Yeah.
about stuff. But yeah, having to do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that I wasn't usually like, I knew it was happening, but wasn't particularly doing. Some of it is definitely reaching back to my days as a kennel boy when
Yeah.
I was running the autoclave and doing the laundry and all of that. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yes, I've done this before. I know how to,
Well, at least you had the
but like,
skills.
yeah, right. But yeah, like some of the wins, and I guess we're kind of mostly expected to, again, kind of my own equipment and kind of figuring out what I like, and I can get what I want. If I want something and I have the money for it, I can get it,
Right.
and then I can have it. And I mean, I love the equipment that I have. I love the setup that I have. So that is really nice. Just being more comfortable, I guess, with what I'm using when I'm doing surgery.
Hmm.
Not that we had like, crappy stuff, but there are some things I was like, can we get an update on this? Like, is this thing's kind of old? Can we just get a new one?
Right.
So that's been really nice. And yeah, like the flexibility of schedule, of course, you need to learn that you need to keep the business afloat as well.
You do.
So you've got to balance that. And again, I do have some employees, so I need to make sure I can pay them still. I can pay Uncle Sam. I can do all the things that you've got to do.
He's a
Um,
bugger, that one. He just
he
doesn't
sure
go
is.
Away. He's so
He
damn
doesn't. He's
needy.
pretty consistent.
Like, don't
Yeah,
you
he's
have
right
enough
there.
tanks, asshole?
Yeah. Always
I could
something
bitch about
more.
Uncle
Always
Sam
something
until the
more.
cows come home.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I bet. I bet. But I will say, I do think with this model, and one thing I had heard about it, but like it really is true. People like it so much
Yeah.
because like going to the specialty hospital is this weird nebulous void that you're going into.
Huh.
It's always so busy, and especially if there's an emergency room attached, like there's always all this commotion, up in the lobby. They like their family vet. They know who their family vet is. It's
Hmm.
closer to home.
Yeah.
And especially if you're picking up your pet after surgery and they're still a little drunk from the anesthesia and you have a 3 hour ride to get home, and like there's just all
Oh,
this stress in the
yeah.
car. I mean, the veterinarians love that we can come in and do stuff there. The people love that they can go to the place that they're familiar with the team that they know, even if we are different folks that they don't know specifically, but they know their normal team is there with us.
Hmm.
Um, like people really like to model, and it's been around for a long time. I mean, there's been mobile surgeons around Milwaukee at least 30 years, I feel
Are
like.
you serious? I thought
Some of
this
them mentioned back.
Yeah.
No, it is not new by any means. It's becoming more and more prevalent, I think,
Huh, I had
as an
no
option out
idea.
there. But yeah, yeah. So, but it's yeah, really well received, really appreciated, yeah, by the pet owners as well as the veterinarians. So
Dang. Okay. So it sounds like you've really been through the gamut of like every aspect of your, chosen profession. You've done the brick and mortar, you're doing the mobile thing. You've, dabbled, I don't want to say dabbled because you have a fucking master's degree in it, in like human health services, right?
yeah,
To some degree, right?
a bit
So
maybe, yeah, yeah.
if you had to go back and do it all over again, would you take the same trajectory or would you do something differently? What do you think?
Man, I don't know. I guess that's really kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's a big question. I get asked that question a
yeah,
lot because I bitch and moan a lot about my business and my chosen field. I would never change being a musician. I would still be a musician.
sure.
I might have gone about it strategically a bit differently, knowing what I know now.
Sure. Right.
But
Yeah.
fundamentally, I think I would have taken the same path, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think potentially, and I guess whether, going in hindsight and going through it at those days or going through it now, right? Or
Mm.
changing things around.
Hmm.
As I mentioned before, I kind of feel like I got caught up in the momentum a lot of Travis is going to be a veterinarian, Travis is going to be a veterinarian, Travis is
Yeah.
going to be a veterinarian. And I know definitely, I mean, vet school was tough. Like everybody hates their life during vet school. And I definitely had regrets of like, why the hell am I here? Like I should never have done this.
That's
Like this is
relatable.
awful. Yeah, right. Like everyone's self-loathing that comes out at that point in time.
Yeah.
Um, Mostly, I do enjoy surgery. I do enjoy being a veterinarian. Um, Nothing in a biologic system comes with a guarantee. There's
Right.
always risks, there's always complications, there's always shit that happens. But for the most part, things go well and it's good. I always enjoyed minimally invasive surgery.
Hmm.
Um, and I got to do some of that laparoscopically, like yeah, spays, some gastropexy, some other things and whatnot in the
Hmm.
abdomen. And there is a newer fellowship. So traditionally we always said that veterinary surgery we don't like subspecialize like people do. We don't
Hmm.
do cardiothoracic, we don't do orthopedic.
Hmm.
We basically do nose to tail.
Wow.
If you go into teaching, then usually your area of research is going to be your area of focus, so you kind of
Mm.
have your soft tissue and your orthopedic stuff in that regard.
Hmm.
But gosh, I don't know, the last 5, 10 years or whatever, we've been having some fellowships within veterinary surgery. The first one was surgical oncology, so more
Huh.
focused on cancer surgery,
Okay.
more aggressive surgery, kind of the surgeons with big kahunas that are taking out huge sections of animal to remove major masses and whatnot.
You know, I had the most fabulous surgeon for my gallbladder surgery, but I would not necessarily describe him as a dude that has massive cojones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, those are two, that's an expression I never really would have thought about a surgeon, but it makes sense. You're going to cut up another creature and then expect it to live. That
yeah,
takes
right.
mad cojones.
Right, exactly, exactly. But we also do have like joint replacements and minimally invasive surgery, and I think that would be something that I would probably want to try to go through that. And if I got the fellowship and specialized and only did minimally invasive surgery, I think that would be professionally rewarding,
Yeah.
pretty exciting and cool to do. Might land me at a veterinary school, but there's got to be some private practices out there that are probably doing that as well.
Huh.
But not to say that that's not an option either.
Sure.
Like there might be a way to still kind of get in there and do that. Um, the book's not written yet. Like some chapters are done, but we've
I
got
was gonna
room to
say you're nowhere
go.
near
Yeah.
retirement because I'm nowhere near
Yeah.
retirement. We're
Yeah.
about the same age, Trap.
Very true. I know. I know. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh
Um,
man.
but to back up at something like you were saying earlier too, like that there are other paths, there are
Yeah.
other ways, and I do think that. I mean, it was a huge leap of faith to decide to leave the brick and mortar setting.
Hmm.
Is this going to work? Can I do this? Can I pull it off? But I mean, yeah, I mean, there are days that I feel like I'm cheating at life. That like this can actually work. Like it's just wild, and liberating and eye opening. That, like you say, there are other ways. Like we don't always have to be cut in, the grind that everybody is. Like there's other things you can do. There's other ways to go about it.
Hmm.
Can you look at a different perspective? So who knows? Maybe there's other options out there, and we'll see where it all goes. And about a good third or so of mobile surgeons do end up going back to their own brick and mortar.
Oh, interesting.
And whether that's a matter of they kind of get out on their own, they do their own thing, they build up some equity that then now they can just have their own building and do just surgery rather than being tied to an emergency room.
Mm,
Um, or obviously you're in one place, the animals come to you, you can be more efficient than driving from clinic to clinic all day.
sure.
And whatever, you can do more cases and all of that. So there is some amount, people always ask, am I going to go back and do my own? And some others in the area have given up mobile to go to brick and mortar.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just riding this for now. Like, we'll see
Nice.
where it goes. I don't know if we will. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy where I am and we'll just see what the next step is. But
Heck
yeah.
yeah. That's so cool. So, for anyone listening that is unfamiliar with the rigors of something that highly specialized and life-threatening as surgery, that is a high-pressure gig, I would imagine, even in veterinary surgery. Like, I mean, I hate to say it that way because our animals' lives are lives nonetheless, and that is a
Sure.
high-pressure environment.
Yeah.
It was a high-pressure school environment, etc. So, what are some life hacks that you have for, just like balancing, like, okay, I have this very high stress job where there are literally lives on the line. And I'm also Travis, who is a human and would like to go enjoy being a human. What are some life hacks or gadgets that have made your life easier, either handling stress or handling work life balance? What do you have there for us?
Yeah. Huh. I guess, stress and whatnot. I think exercising is important. I've definitely been bad the last few years compared to where I was. I
Running
was in,
triathlons.
yes, I did some triathlon training in a little bit in undergrad, mostly into vet school. And I did a marathon when I was out in Maryland, which I don't think I'd ever do again. I would consider getting back into half marathons, but the triathlons were good. That was all good, and I still ran when I first moved to Milwaukee, but it's just kind of fallen away as life has gotten more complicated, which is unfortunate because
Mm-hmm.
all the more that I need to get out there and do something.
Sure.
And just setting time aside. When I was in Annapolis, I had some friends with a sailboat. And so, although we grew up fishing and kayaking and all of that in northern Michigan, it was never really on a sailboat.
It's a different thing.
And yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I moved to Milwaukee, I joined the Milwaukee Community Sailing Center, which is
Hmm.
awesome because it's a really cheap access to the lake and all kinds of training and education that you can do through that.
Nice.
So I try to make sure to have time to get out sailing in the summer. It's just something enjoyable, whatever your hobbies are, to find out what that is, which was the weirdest thing to find out what my hobbies were after residency.
Oh, I'll bet.
When I started to have some time. And then now on the mobile side, trying to figure out what else to do with myself. Though usually I come home and I'm running the autoclaves to sterilize all my equipment for the next day.
Right.
So it just kind of keeps rolling along through things there. But making time for that, setting up date nights, times to get out and just focus and on each other or on something other than work. Like you really need to set that time aside and make it a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, other kind of hacks, I guess, just kind of life in general. One that I picked up in undergrad that I think has been really helpful for me is the unfortunately the acronym is Ohio. So being from Michigan, of course, we
Oh,
don't like that.
no.
But
Boo.
only handle it once is the
Oh.
idea. And I initially saw that was in regards to email. So basically, like if you read it, reply to it, put it out of the way because you flag it, you try to put it somewhere, you forget about it, it gets lost, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you have time to look at it, just address it and move on with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that, like text messages, like I always reply right away. And whether to just being on call, I'm used to having my phone around because if they need to get a hold of me, I need to have it. And if
Mm-hmm.
something comes in, let me just reply to it. That way it's not burning in the back of my head and I don't forget about it. Um, and even with like business emails, I guess like veterinarians will send me x-rays, they'll send me pictures, they'll ask me questions like, can we get this mass off? What does this fracture look like? Can we fix it? What does it take? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to, if I see it, if I have a few minutes, can I just reply back to it and get it moving? And part of that, I think, too, kind of the pay it forward idea, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the limiting reagent in this chemical reaction that they're waiting for me to get to it at the end of the day or
Mm-hmm.
reply to them tomorrow. Like, if I have a minute, get it a response out there so it can just keep moving, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the patient can move forward, things can advance. Um, And so, whether obviously paying it forward for yourself for a little bit of savings for retirement, paying forward to friends, family, loved ones, donations, whatever you can do. But I think it's always important to give back, and pay it forward for yourself, as well as for others. Don't forget about yourself, what
Yeah.
you can pay forward. But little things you can do now that make it easier tomorrow, sort of a thing like that. So, especially in surgery, I think a lot of our stuff is always, set up and prep, because time is trauma. So the longer the patient is under anesthesia, the longer you're in surgery, the higher you have a chance of infection and other complications. So trying to get through everything as quickly as you can. And so a lot of planning ahead, being prepared, to be efficient, when you really need to. Um, yeah, that's kind of a whole slew of things, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No, those are all
that's
great
helpful.
things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any gadgets that have made your life a little bit easier? They're just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't live without this thing."
I mean, some surgical equipment and whatnot, of course, stays
Oh, those kind
there.
of gadgets. Okay, well, that wouldn't be helpful for everybody. I mean,
But
unless
like, yeah,
unless we have
no,
aspiring surgeons out there, unless you guys want to hear that.
yeah, right. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously the smartphone does so much, like tracking my
Yeah.
miles for business and email and all of that and whatever. It's just that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know that I have any other amazing other gadgets. So
All
sorry.
right. No, no, it's all good. So, final question. I ask everybody this because I think this is just a delightful, whimsical thing to know about. If you were a flavor of ice cream, what flavor of ice cream would you be and why?
Oh, fun. Um, God, do we have time for it? A
We
little bit of a
do.
story? I don't know. Okay,
We
great.
do.
God, I didn't realize I was turning into my grandfather. I'm
Oh, you're
sorry.
totally fine.
A
No, I've
story
got you. Like
for
that's the
everything. So,
host job. I watch the time. I make sure your signal's still coming through. You're good.
all right, perfect, perfect. So we're big frozen custard fans here, which
Uh-huh.
is a big thing around Milwaukee. It was also up in Rochester, New York. But there's a Cops frozen custard that has a rotating flavor of the day, and we keep an eye on the schedule,
Mm.
um,
That is some
to see what's
serious
good.
investment in custard. You keep
Yeah,
an eye
and
on a rotating schedule.
yes, and we will go grab our half gallons when it's worth going for. So,
Love it.
I mean, like red velvet Oreo, ultimate cookie dough, like there's some good stuff that comes through. So there's one that's called chicken dinner. All right. And
If the
so
world could have seen the look on my face just now, it was part horrified and part curious. So please continue.
yeah, right. So it is my favorite flavor. It's a peanut butter custard with peanuts and chocolate. There's like a peanut butter ribbon in there, and there's a marshmallow ribbon
Uh-huh.
in there. And I would usually say that like Reese's peanut butter cup and vanilla ice cream is the best way to go because it's a
Yeah.
nice balance. And that this seems like it's just way too much peanut butter. But I think the marshmallow strip that's in there like really helps balance it out.
Okay.
And so, of course, I had to ask one of the scoopers one day. I was like, okay, so chicken dinner, like, is it winner, winner chicken dinner or what's this all about?
Yeah, where'd that come from?
And she's like, I don't know, but on the recipe, there's a picture of a candy bar. So I don't know if it's like a candy bar or something.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, I had to Google that shit. And
Right.
so, like in the 1920s, there was this candy bar that was like peanuts and chocolate and caramel or whatever. And it was trying to market itself as being not just candy, but I don't know if it's like the first protein bar, or something, but it was trying to say,
Oh.
like, we've got more going on than just being candy or something.
Okay.
I don't really know. So I would be chicken dinner, frozen custard. And so
Love
not
that.
only am I sweet, with that marshmallow
Oh.
streak in there, the all that peanut butter is kind of rich, but I enrich your life, right? Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then maybe a little salty, right? Because I've been
Right.
known to get a little feisty here and there,
Indeed. I mean, we
and
grew up in northern Michigan. We take shit from no one.
it's kind of true. It's
Yeah.
kind of true. And I am not just empty calories. Like I have some nutritional value.
That's right. You bring
Yes.
substance to the table, by golly.
There we go.
Oh my God, I love it. That
uh,
might be the most creative and thorough answer I've had on the show thus far. So,
well, thanks. And you're
hats
welcome.
off to you, sir. Hats off to you, sir. That was very thorough. He's a good
There
man and
we
he's
go.
thorough. Bring
Yes.
him your pets.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, dude, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and all of the life lessons that you've picked up along the way. As stated, I know you're, not a musician necessarily, but we have things to learn from one another that will
Sure.
enrich our lives regardless of our field of study, right? So, thank
Absolutely. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. This was great. It was so good to catch up. We need to do this more
We
often off
really
screen.
do. And like
But
maybe
yeah, this
not in
was
the
great.
context
Thank
of
you
a
so much.
podcast. All right, man. Well, thanks so much. We will catch you.
All right. Bye.
And that about does it for us here at the Rogue Academic. I hope you found that episode enlightening, perhaps even inspiring. As always, if you're looking for us on social media, you can find us at Facebook, on Instagram, and TikTok, and all the places where you enjoy your social media. And if you're like us and you need that caffeine to get through the day, please go on over to Hideaway Coffee of Fort Wayne. That's HYDE awaycoffee.com, and enter Rogue 10 for 10% off your favorite roast today. They are a proud sponsor of the Rogue Academic Podcast, and we are delighted to continue to drink their coffee so we can remain productive. Hope you guys have a fabulous weekend, and don't be afraid to make that pivot. It might just be the best move you've ever made. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.